NBAX, Novavax, moving over $70 now, $71 after hours. November Victor Alpha X-ray.
RBOMR and separate release announcing a proposed public offering of 1 million shares of common stock of Microbia.
Ottawa, Tennessee facility that's expected to occur by September 30th. Delta Yankee, November Tango. Shares of VMware hitting 159.75.
VMware is up on the news too.
Now shares up $12 on VMware.
Yeah, look at this. Jesus Christ.
Spin-off of its stake, said to be worth about $50 billion in VMware. The VMware shares 162.02 the high, closed at 149.23. Victor Michael Whiskey. TELA, Tango Echo Lima Alpha. TELA Bio files to offer 3 million shares of its common stock. That's TELA. Shares of VMware hitting 165 now.
They're both up big.
W. AVAV, AeroVironment, Alpha Victor, reporting 75 cents. That's a 5-cent beat for AVAV. Alpha Victor, revenue of 135.2 million is also a beat for AVAV. Shares spiking to $76 on AVAV.
It's 390 to 410 million.
Shares up about $4.09 at the high on AVAV on that earnings and revenue beat.
Conservative range versus the 194 consensus for AVAV.
The hell did I do
Weekly
now?
API data will be released to gas subscribers at the bottom of the hour. Bell shares sell more than 10% after they report that they're looking to sell their majority stake in
CTIB, Yunhong, spiking at 380, up $1.44 after hours. Charlie Tango, India Bravo. KTOV kicked off getting some volume after hours. Kilo Tango Oscar Victor.
All right. You guys, oh, Goku, you obviously can see my screen. You can hear the voice. Everybody good? All right, good, good. We're starting now. We're going to start now. Hold on. All right. So you got some news here right at the bell. Dell and VMware. Supposedly Dell spinning off their stake in VMware, something to that. Let's see. They're both up big. Let me lower some stuff here. I remember seeing some decent action in Dell as recent, a little bit today, some yesterday, and VMware, we haven't seen action in that in a while. But there was definitely some Dell buying. I don't own any, but there was some flow there. All right, let's we got a few different things to talk about today. I think you guys will find some interest in. Hold on, let me post some paraphernalia to private Twitter so we can use it as a reference. Two things I want to see here. This, and where's the other one? This. Webinar paraphernalia. All right, so something really interesting is playing out here. If you've been following along on these Zoom webinars or have been a member, we've been talking about a Max Payne trade scenario, right? That's what we're rooting on here. And to put it in simple English, we were looking for some sort of breather here, which we've been getting on the S&P 500, where we want to look for dips, right? So when there's some selling and we get short-term sentiment back leaning on our side again, meaning, you know, they put bulls, they keep bulls in check, reel in some bears. We want to be buyers here. That's where we want to look for entries, right? Since then, it's been a lot tighter, you can see here, not much selling. All right, so we really didn't have too much opportunity of getting long any entries down here. But even more, not even concerning is not the right word, but more frustrating, agitating that's been taking place here, okay? The S&P 500 has been going exactly according to plan. This is exactly what we were looking for, exactly, okay? So no complaints there. But as the S&P 500 and, you know, the Dow, the Russell, all are doing the right thing, the one spot that we all wanted to really take a breather and be able to buy little pulls within a consolidation was in the NASDAQ, okay? And you know, it's not just tech, it's a lot of these new economy, hot growth names. Let's face it, all the good looking stuff that exists out there, the majority of it is on the NASDAQ, okay? It's not the Caterpillars of the world. It's not the airlines, the travel related names. It's not the banks, all right? They're all dinosaurs, all right? When you come out of a crash scenario or a correction, you want to swing new leaders, right? That's what you want to get your hands on. That's where the biggest winners come out of. That's where we wanted the breather to come from, is the actual NASDAQ in some of these names. And it's been the total opposite. Kind of these names, I think even the NASDAQ, the indices don't even do it justice. They've been in melt-up mode, right? All the names we wanted breathers in have been in absolute melt-up mode, right? Several of you, I remember many a webinar, this FSLY was a name, right? All these names, we were hoping to get a few dips and a breather on and see some flow and take advantage of some short-term weakness to set up the next leg higher, which potentially could be a melt-up scenario where all that non-believer money on the sidelines has to come in and eventually chase, okay? So the last 2 days, we've been getting confirmation out of flow and out of some of the indicators we follow that the hedge funds have officially dipped their beak, right? They've gone from short, not believing in this whole rally. What I should have done, hold on 1 second. Why not do it? It takes 1 second. Hold on. Hang on, bear with me. Okay, I think this is it. Son of a gun. Give me 1 sec. I just want to get the chart out there so we can look at it as I'm explaining it and talking about it here. Hold on. Okay. No, I'm trying to get the chart out so I can show you guys. I know most of you have seen it already, but maybe some who haven't. All right. So this is what we were waiting on, right? This is what we wanted to see play out. Hedge funds were all in, right, for the rally. Once we rolled over, they got caught fully loaded and long and had to puke up all their longs. Probably had a lot to do with the velocity behind the crash and everything else that came with it, okay? Since this rally has started, hedge funds have been net short the whole entire way, okay? As you can see here now, okay, and this indicator comes with a little bit of a lag, but we've been seeing some other information that's confirming it. They've started to not only cover shorts, but I'm hearing they're getting long, okay? The last 2 days, we see it in the flow, no doubt. And what I mean by seeing it in the flow, we're seeing size bets, okay, that we know is not smart money taking a contrarian approach. We know it's forced buying. Why do we know it's forced buying? When you see the size of sweeps that we see in a FSLY all the way up here, that's not how the sharp money plays, right? The sharp money likes to buy when nobody else is buying. That's what they rather do, right? And then when the whole crowd jumps on board, that's when they like to take some chips off the table, all right? But we're seeing more and more, especially the last couple of days, we've been seeing it for longer than that, of this forced buying in names that just continuously go higher, okay? And they're chasing, all right? But what they're chasing, interestingly enough, okay, usually they chase leaders across the board throughout different sectors of the market. That's not what's going on right now, okay? We're actually seeing a fear trade, not FOMO. This is completely different than FOMO. FOMO is a fear of missing out on a good opportunity, right? On something positive happening. At least that's my take. This is a fear trade of, we have all this effing money sitting here on the sidelines with the Fed pumping liquidity into the system like never before, okay? And we just still, we can't get ourselves to buy anything economically sensitive, anything tied to COVID, right? And they're pouring all this money into these particular names. Anti-COVID, stay-at-home plays. All right? The Caterpillars of the world, which look good. Like, look at Caterpillar. It doesn't look bad. It actually looks good. They want nothing to do with, right? The MMMs of the world, they want nothing to do with. The transportation names look good, want nothing to do with it. Okay, meaning they're not buying these things yet. All right, and that's why I think I don't know about you guys, but it's adding to my frustration because I'm seeing the hedge funds start and then non-believer money start to capitulate, but they're capitulating in the stuff that's already scorched. All right. So it's definitely a strange situation. It's something we've never seen before. Who knows if we'll ever see it again, right? Because it's a disease, and that's the reason for it, right? It's not necessarily tied to any economic numbers or anything like that. Usually, you have, when you don't want to touch anything economically sensitive, there's not much to touch, right? Here you have a whole stay-at-home, basically, portion of the market that has been thriving under lockdown and the fear of this disease, okay? So now one or two things are inevitably going to happen here, okay? As we're still in consolidation on the S&P 500, okay? These stay-at-home names continue to melt up and then blow up, meaning, that's when the music stops and all the hedge fund money, the non-believer money, they get caught. And I don't know what kind of reaction that's going to have on everything else because they're not going to have exposure there or much of it. So that's a very strange situation that I can't even see develop. I've never seen it all over the course of my career. All right. Another scenario is that you see reversals in these names, okay? So like this FSLY gets tired, right? Shows some exhaustion, reverses, and you get these sharp reversals where money comes out of it, profit taking, they run over the late chasers who think the stock just goes up every day, and they could possibly rotate into all the economically sensitive stuff. Okay? That could happen for a short period of time. We just saw that. It's so hard to remember. Literally, it was a couple of weeks ago where, remember, they were buying Boeing like they couldn't get enough of it. They were buying the cruise lines, the airlines. They were buying the junk of the economically sensitive stuff. Not even the stuff that is okay and looks okay. They were buying the absolute junk. Okay, so even though it looks far-fetched right now for that to happen, it very easily could happen, and we run into something like this, right? A short period of time where these things heat up, and you get a nice rally of them. Okay, we're not seeing any signs out of the flow of them positioning aggressively for that yet. Right? We see little Boeing weekly sweeps. Trip caught a little bit of action today. That was based on chatter. We're not seeing the type of aggressive buying that we would normally see in these things. Right, the semis, they would come after them with three hands when they really want them. Right? We're begging. Finally, AMD caught a decent August sweep today. Finally, a decent August sweep today, as opposed to catching weekly crap, which seems like forever now. Micron. Remember Micron? The missiles that used to go off in Micron? The Tepper missiles, all that stuff? We haven't seen anything like that in Micron. Anything. Right? I'll give you an example of names we sorted. Texas Instruments. right? We saw that big round of action come in. NXPI. That's what they do when they want to buy these things and they're excited about it. That's that major rotation. Okay? So that's what I'm kind of looking out for. And to be quite honest, like for me, you guys know where I stand. I pretty much was crystal clear. I've been focusing mostly on day trading and taking advantage of just the momentum out there. Because here's the thing, and I think this is where a lot of newer traders, they get wrong, and for good reason, especially if you're newer to the game. You want to buy a Boeing, right, because it hasn't moved yet, or you want to buy an AMD because it hasn't moved yet. But when this chase is going on like we're seeing right now, you're not going to make any money in these things. You understand? They're dead right now. Just because you spotted AMD and it hasn't moved yet doesn't mean it's going to move just because you bought it. You know what I'm saying? So that's why, like, I was in a little bit of a conundrum as well, because I'm worried about, you know, a reversal in the stuff that I wanted to own. So I'm not going to swing FSLY up here. Okay. Even some of the stuff that's not up like this, they're not decent spots for me to swing if I'm looking to be selective, right? So I want to day trade stuff that looks okay, but I don't have to take that added risk in swinging calls on a full position, right? So that's where my focus has been, okay? While I wait and let a decent setup come to me, right? And that's what I've been looking for, and it hasn't, because all the money has been going into these machines. I mean, don't even get me started, Tree, but I mean, come on now, right? Jesus Christ. No? How long can you chase SE, for Christ's sake? It's unbelievable. You know, and I don't even want to go through all the names because we've been doing it for weeks now. There's a good chunk of names that look like this, you know, but it is insane because that's what they're chasing. Right now, if you look at like some of the updates I've been getting from certain houses like Goldman, JP Morgan, what their read is on a lot of this fund positioning, they covered shorts. Listen to this. They covered shorts in these type of names, these hot growth names, and they're flipping long. Okay, think about that. They're flipping long now into this stuff. Okay, but all their long exposure is in this stuff. They don't own any financials. They don't own any industrials. They don't own any transportation names. You know what I mean? It's all there. It's all there. So now, you know, I'm being honest with you guys, how does this play out as a whole? How can you get a gauge on the whole market when you got two different worlds out there? You know what I mean? You got two completely different worlds out there. And that's becoming a little tricky. I don't know about for you guys, but for me, that's becoming a little tricky in trying to get a gauge on the overall market. Okay. When these hot names finally get tired and buyers run out of money, for Christ's sake, okay, when they reverse, does it take down the overall, the indices as a whole? We don't know, because you're going to tell me if the money's going to rotate or not. If the money doesn't rotate, you're going to have some weakness. But if they rotate, I got news for you. The markets probably won't even be down. They'll be up. I think if they rotate into banks, financials, and industrials, I think you'll see a rally like we haven't seen yet in the indices. You know what I'm saying? So it's really, really, it's getting really tricky out there. And, you know, it's not an excuse. It's something, I've been in this game 20 plus years, as you guys know. And the disparity, out there between the two worlds, right? The two groups of stocks is so large. I've never seen anything like it. I've seen outperformance, but I've never seen, half the market or 5/8 of the market they won't even touch, and 3/8 they're going gangbusters. Yeah, this is hedge fund chase. Like we've seen it before, Ani, right? This is what they do, right? They bum rush into these names. We see it. We see it in the flow. Apple had a sweeper every 5 seconds today. Microsoft, you see them nonstop. $1 million sweeps, $500,000 sweeps, like it's nothing. Yeah, NVIDIA, exactly. Look at them all, So granted that, this this is the spot where the money's going, and maybe this is what they chase. And when they get reeled all in, maybe these things do blow up. I'm sure that's how this story is going to end, meaning blow up that you get a serious correction in them. But where does the money go after that, is an important factor, a very important factor. And it's not a factor of whether markets, will only go down a little bit. I strongly believe that even if these things get beat up, if they're buying the financials aggressively and the transportations and the industrials and all that stuff, you're going to get a rip. Look at the market recently. Okay? If you remember, when the markets were ripping here, you had a lot of this I'm talking about here. You had all that other stuff participating. Remember we were looking at sectors and how hot every sector was? You were getting full participation here. Full. And FANG was underperforming. FANG and high beta names and stuff like that. People wanted to be all, again, the Boeings of the world and stuff like that. So you didn't need all the anti-COVID names to go gangbusters for the market to rock. You don't need that. It's such a big portion of the market that you don't need it, But, we'll see how it plays out. But I bring that up today because very easily, right, you look at what's going on price action wise and flow wise. That's the most important thing. And you have to remind yourself when you're seeing buying come in up here, okay? And the orders look like real bets. It's forced buying, okay? Sharpies aren't making a bet on FSLY here, okay? They may trade it. They may go into weeklies to flip it off momentum. They're not taking a stake in FSLY after the stock just went from 10 to 80 at 80. Yeah, same thing with SE. Remember, we saw all the sharp action in SE. We saw when it started. We were in the damn thing, but we're still seeing bombs go off up here in SE. We're still seeing bombs go off. Okay, that's not, sharp money out there saying, oh, you know what? Well, this is such a bargain right here on SE. You know what I mean? That's not what's going on. It's forced buying. Okay, and that's why I keep telling you guys, you don't want to swing trade off forced buying. You could day trade off it, you could flip it, you look at it for momentum purposes only. You got to be careful with the reversals. But we want to buy when they stake their flag on something that hasn't been doing anything, and they have information that we may not have that it's about to turn. Right? That's the smart action we're looking for. All right. So that's why I wanted to start off the webinar with that, because I know it could get frustrated. I know I'm frustrated, so I'm sure some of you are frustrated out there. And I know it could get confusing because you see all these orders like we've never seen before, right? I mean, Like Apple, you're seeing probably more action in Apple this week than we've seen at a lot lower levels. And that's because they're scrambling for exposure. All the money on the sidelines, they need to get their hands on some exposure in Apple, and they don't have any, and they got to chase. It happens all the time, all the time. That's why we look at this stuff religiously, right? That's why we look at it religiously, you know? And the game, and the reason why it's important and why we want to look at, usually the music doesn't stop until these guys get up here. That's usually how it ends, okay? Because when they're up here, the riffraff are up there, all the non-believer money's up there, and it's not some voodoo forecast of why the market has a higher probability of doing this when they're all in the pool. It's logic, it's physics, it's how the market works, okay? If everybody's already long and there's a catalyst to sell, what's going to happen? Right? You're going to see a lot of selling. You're going to see a lot of supply, okay? And when that hits and you have longs like you've never seen before, that's where you get margin calls and you have to sell more. And then you get the trend followers, go through levels, you have to sell more. And it snowballs into something larger, okay? When these guys aren't in the pool, all the non-believers, not just hedge funds, that whole non-believer crowd, okay? These dips, the likelihood of them turning into something catastrophic or larger, the odds of it go down dramatically. Why? Because they already sold. They have nothing left to sell. Whoever got out, whoever needed to get out, got out. Here, gone, kaput. You know what I mean? So it's not some voodoo stuff. It's not some indicator stuff based off, you know, Gann formulas. It's what makes the market go up and down. Supply and demand. All right, so that's the story. That's what I wanted to share with you guys today because it is unusual. We'll see how it plays out, but we have no other choice. There's nothing we can do. We like to approach the game that way anyway, where we wait for the evidence in front of us instead of predicting. But now it's like we need as much evidence in front of us as possible because we have no idea how this can play out without knowing, you know, what the scenarios that may happen next. There's so many different scenarios. All right. Just quickly before I take questions, here I like to show you guys this. This is out of Goldman, and I think it's a good picture once you understand it of sentiment as a whole. All right, because again, we're in strange times right now, okay? And you have, because of the lack of sports and lack of anything to gamble on, you have a lot of gambling money that's come into the options market, right? We know that. We've been hearing about it ad nauseum. I can't talk about it anymore. But you see it in the indicators, okay? Of course it's going to show up in the indicators, all right? But this Goldman breakdown, once you understand it, pretty much gives you a clear picture of what's going on, okay? So this would be bearish extreme, which in a contrarian way would be bullish, okay, if the diamonds line up here. And if the diamonds line up here, that's bullish extreme, okay? Pretty simple. So the average, okay, we're looking at the blue, dark blue diamond, which is the current environment. Orange is March 20th, green is June 8th, the blue is Jan, we don't care. The dark blue diamond is what we're looking at, okay? So as a whole, here's where sentiment is as a whole, an average of everything, okay? Why is it here? Because the short-term stuff, especially anything options related, okay? You see, put the call, risky versus safe asset, momentum, the blue diamonds are all on this half. Okay? Here, which is the positioning stuff that we talk about a lot, right? Because traders can flip quickly. That's why you don't want to focus too much on them. You want to focus on them now, but you don't want to develop a bias off them because it can change quickly. This is the positioning stuff. Okay, they can't flip. When they make a stand, they got to make a stand. Okay, and you could see the blue diamonds are all from this half. Look at this. Some are still at extreme bearish positioning. Okay, so what's that tell us in simple English? That tells us there's short-term heat again because of the rise in the NASDAQ and some of these stay-at-home names that the riffraff like to play. Okay, there's some heat over the short term in the options market. Okay, but positioning, if they need to get long, there's still a lot of real estate here. All right, and that's a good thing. So even though there's some mixed signals out of sentiment, it makes sense. Okay, a lot of people look at this and like, sentiment doesn't work. What's this shit? This says bullish, this says bearish. What am I going to do with this? You know what I mean? Where it's crystal clear what's going on in the market right now. Crystal clear. Another thing I wanted to show you guys that is being talked about. Sometimes we see it play out. Sometimes when you see everybody and their mother talking about it, the market usually factors it in ahead of time. Sometimes the market factors it in and you don't even see anything go on in the price action, but it's already factored in, right? So that's what makes it difficult. But there's a lot of talk about these pension funds rebalancing for the quarter, okay? It's not a rumor, it's the truth, okay? We saw it happen and nail out bottoms to prior corrections, right? The last one being back in December here, okay? When during the holidays, nobody was even at the office. You couldn't find a buyer in the world. Remember, we had a buyer strike basically during the holidays and the bears took advantage, okay? But lo and behold, at the end of the quarter, pension funds showed up, and because of the drastic move in equities to the downside and the drastic move in bonds to the upside, they need to rebalance. So how do they rebalance? They sell bonds, they buy equities, and they got a chance to buy them here. Okay? So that's what happened there, and it played out in a big way. Okay, usually plays out in a big way at bottoms anyway. All right. Now here we have a situation where you have a massive run off the lows in equities, and we're hearing there's some decent sized rebalancing that needs to take place. Okay, in simple English, meaning they have to sell equities, raise their stake in bonds to get a balance on their holdings, percentage-wise. All right. Dollar amounts, and you guys saw I post a couple. I think I got this from CNBC or one of those sites. But anyway, a couple different houses have been talking about it, and they're throwing some numbers out there, right? JP Morgan, they're looking at a $65 billion rebalancing flow. Okay, so that's a big number. On a global basis, 170 billion that could flow from equities out of equities. Okay, Goldman Sachs, even bigger number, 76 billion in pension fund selling. All right, so a couple of these houses think it could, it could weigh on the market in some fashion. How big it weighs, how large of a factor, is a whole other story, especially if you have buyers, this whole non-believer crowd we talk about, that need to buy, and we see they buy every dip, right? It's amazing. Every dip gets bought, every dip. That's why we're not the only ones that are seeing this, right? We're not the only ones. Our playbook was to buy dips. We're so smart, right? Everybody who looks at this stuff, is saying the same thing. They know how much money's on the sidelines. They know it's been starting to be put to work. So they know to buy dips, and they've been front running us on every little dip. I mean, this was a gift from the gods. I don't know how this happened at that point. I don't know how that happened. We had a couple days of weakness there. It's like we saw Christ. It was like Christmas morning. Now we walk up into a freaking gap up. Last night was out of control. I told the people in the room, last night I see the Navarro quote, and I look at futures. I'm like, oh my God, we got a dip. I literally took a piss. I come back and I see Trump tweet, and not only do the futures retrace the whole dip, they rip. Unbelievable. But that's that non-believer money. When they need to get long, they got to get long. They buy every dip. And that's why you could sense the excitement in my voice, right? When we were talking about this initially, right? When we were looking for that dip in the markets, you could sense that I was getting excited about it. Why? Because we still had all this in great shape, okay? When you get a dip like that in great shape, you have even that much more confidence to buy these dips. And what I thought was going to happen here is you get this consolidation, and we can find entries every time they look to flush them off a breather. Okay, which is happening right now. Which is happening. Okay, if the NASDAQ looked like this, we would be having a field day. Okay, because all the names that we want to own, all the good stuff, we'd be finding entries on, because they'd be in chop. They'd be catching flow in choppy consolidation. But no, the NASDAQ has got to melt up. You know what I mean? So they threw a little wrench into the equation. So yeah, moral of the story is, for me anyway, nothing has changed, even though the S&P 500 has been consolidating, because I get that question a lot. Oh, Jesus, you got that dip, you got that sideways chop, are you buying anything? And the answer is no, because everything that I want to buy is coming in names that aren't in sideways chop. You understand? It's not showing up there. So what I've been doing is some of the names that I feel I can get a run the same day, maybe hold it an extra day or two, see some follow through. I've been mostly trading equity and looking to take advantage of the momentum, and I get out, like that net, right? Like stuff like that. I make my money, I get out, goes higher. What can I do? Yeah, I bought some Doyu, a couple names we trade numerous times, like the Sono and stuff like that. Right? A lot of day trades. Today, though, I'm not going to lie to you. I spun my wheels a little today, day trading. Today there wasn't the juice that there was out there today on the day trade side. Maybe because we had a gap up and everything was up big already. But today I lost some money in the hog. Didn't do anything. Actually went lower after I got stopped out. So that was a good thing. What else? I actually made a little money in AMD, believe it or not, this morning. But I spun my wheels today. It depends. It depends, Dan. It depends. Like today, I wasn't looking for much. Today, I was just looking to make some money. We were in green already. All the names that I like and that are catching nice action are inflated. So I really didn't have big intentions today, even before it started. Oh, WW, I scalped, but that had a big move. I scalped WW, you know. But, you know, the last few days, I've been fortunate enough where the action they really come after set up some nice winners. You know, Box I played yesterday. That was a nice winner. I didn't play Trip today. I didn't play Trip. Oh, I did scout Trip. I didn't, are you talking swing or whatever? We were talking in the room whether we should swing it again or not. I scalped Trip, yeah. I scalped Trip. Trip was interesting. I still have a little piece of Trip, the Jazz, but you know, I don't know. I think it might bother me more if if their news hit and this thing became a big winner at this point, that I got out of most of it. You know, plan, I'm still holding. I got a ton of time, but you know, this gets lumped in. This is like AMD. Even though it's software, for some reason, it gets lumped in to rotation. This does better when they rotate, believe it or not. When they rotate. Kind of like AMD, right? AMD does nothing. NVIDIA scorches. If they rotate, might see the opposite happen there. Yeah, LT, I think I played LTRPA. I played. That's the cheap one, right? It didn't do much. Oh, man, it went a little higher after I sold it. Yep. Plug. Here, okay. How long have we been talking about this name? INO. Every webinar we've been talking about this name. No? Every single webinar INO, I get 8 questions because it caught sweeper activity. Now, so finally clicked in a big way. But today they were buying it nonstop. Nikola was caught some sweeper activity again today, caught some yesterday. Yesterday was, we've been seeing blocks in Nikola. We finally saw some sweeper activity yesterday. We finally saw some sweeper, and today. Yeah, INO's crazy. But that's, you know, biotech, you get some news, you cash a big ticket. Sometimes it works the other way, you know? Sometimes it works the other way. Penn, that was crazy active again today too. And that's a gaming name, but because of the whole thing going on, you know, this thing's been doing well. Oh, that was another thing I sold yesterday. I saw it up a little bit more today, SSRM. I bought some equity off the sweep there. You know what I mean? But I sold it already. I sold it the next day, yesterday. I didn't buy calls, and I liked the sweep a lot. I liked it a lot. But I've been mostly, it's almost, I had the musical chairs theme in my head. You know what I mean? And that's what I'm trying to avoid. Because again, all the action is not coming in stuff that hasn't moved yet. They're crowded, these things. These things are crowded. Yeah, like TQQQ. I mean, you know, how much action are we going to see in this thing already? We used to get excited with a TQQQ bet, you know, and that'd be like for the quarter. Now we see TQQQ action every week. I didn't play Micron. Like Micron, I'm waiting. I know what they hit the board with when they buy Micron. Remember, like Twitter, we were talking the same thing. Same thing. Like Twitter was catching all the junk, okay? And then, you know, I just couldn't play off the junk because I know when they want to buy Twitter with Elliott involved, how they buy Twitter. Micron's the same thing. Micron catches the biggest action. You have no idea what Micron can catch if you haven't seen it. You know, you have no idea. So I love the setup there. Love it. Even better here now, coming back into this chop zone. But to me, like, it's not ready until I see that action. It may go without it, but I'm not going to buy it without it. You know, I'm not going to buy it without it. And the same thing with AMD. It caught, like, listen, if you really like AMD, it caught a legitimate sweep today. Right? We spoke about that. The first one, I think, at least through this recent consolidation. So they're August calls, and you can pull the trigger if you like it that much. Is it the type of action that AMD usually catches when they really want it? No. You know, no. I wish I could lie to you. And, you know, I get it. It's an interesting setup, but that's what this consolidation does. That's its job, to frustrate the living daylights of everybody who's trying to play the break out there. That's what it does. Until people throw AMD on the do not trade list, and then you see 2 missiles come flying in and she's ready to go. Right? It always works that way with these widely held names with so many eyeballs on it. But you know, that's the thing, like everybody, you got to be an idiot right now to not know you're chasing all these tech names, right? So people see AMD is one of the few that you really don't have to chase. And they think like, you know, they're smarter than everybody else. There's a lot of people trying to catch this AMD. You could buy it with some time and deal with it. But, you know, to have your cake and eat it too, you got to get lucky. August, this August sweep was half decent. Hold on. And again, for AMD, it's an average bet, not barely average. But compared to the action we've been seeing in AMD, see all these weeklies and stuff like that, that's just, that AMD sees that in its sleep. And sometimes you get trades out of it. But if you're looking for the break, here, you know, it's an okay bet. Exactly, like I worded it. It's a legit order. You know, nothing jaw-dropping, but a legit order. But yeah, this is nothing. Yeah, exactly. You know, if you for trades in AMD, if you buy weakness near the bottom of the range, you can trade it like Ranchero's saying. But, you know, Ranchero people aren't happy with that right now because of all these big moves out there. You know what I mean? Today was a nice trade. I day traded it. It was one of my few winners today. But people aren't happy with that. You know, oh, AMD only moved $1. I mean, they're not happy because look at the other stuff out there. You know, it's craziness. It's crazy. But it's getting, you know what it is too? You could see it's getting tougher, right? Like this DKNG was a cash register. You know, it's not going anywhere right now. It's not going anywhere. You know, so it's going to happen to a lot of these. SE, mark my words, it's going to happen. It's a matter of when it's going to happen. And that's the whole musical chairs theme, right? It's like if you're in a swing, you're waiting and waiting and waiting to get enough. And if it happens to pull and go into chop before you get that extra 50 cents, you're done. Shop, is that chop 2 now? And that was a hot stock, right? Oh, this thing's still going. Jesus. And this thing had a little tiny breather here. Yeah. Cream burn. Yeah, that's why, you know, the money's made in these things. You know, you could scalp them and stuff like that. The money's made. I know a lot of you don't like to trade some of the other stuff out there, but that's where the upside, is right now until these things get washed out nicely. That's the upside, believe it or not, is in the financials, in the industrials. Again, I sound like a broken record. It doesn't mean that they have to go up, but that's where the risk reward is in these things. You know, this stuff already hatched. You know, it already hatched. So we'll see. I still think that for everybody to get in the pool, they're going to have to make a bet on the economy by buying everything else. That's my opinion. So in other words, what I mean by that is you see a wash before everybody gets reeled into the pool. That sort of thing. But, you know, I don't have to be right. That's just my feeling. I've been wrong plenty of times. Yeah, plan. I just think plan is, you know, AMD. Basically the same thing. You know, and that's kind of like why I guess they bought Decembers and Jans. Right? That's where they went, because they felt possibly it might not be ready just yet. And the same thing like Ron Chernow said, right? We went over this. If you wanted to trade plan, you had opportunities to trade it. Like, this is a half decent move for in this name. But because of the size of the action, I know I'm looking for more than this. So I got to sit through this. I don't mind, I got to sit through it, and I'm totally fine with it. It's one of the few names that look half decent out there still. Everything else is cooked. Oops. B8C, I'm still in. Those are the two I'm still in. All the other stuff I've had stock. Probably if I told you a minute, I'm out of it. You know what I mean? No, I didn't play Oracle. Decent action. Though. Oracle's slow, though. So be prepared for that. You know what I mean? APT. Well, that's a little stretch now. I think even Tim was looking at it down here. I wouldn't chase it now. But you get more Corona, APT probably goes higher. If Corona doesn't, fizzles out a bit, and they start buying economy sensitive stuff, you're going to get this thing right back to new lows again. Right back to here. So, depends. If you're already in it, you can raise a stop, you can roll, you could do a number of things. To buy it is a whole different story. Google, they played weeklies yesterday. I mean, honestly, you probably had your trade in Google already. I don't even know if they're still in it. They may be out of it already. Yesterday, the stock had a nice move. They were just weeklies. It was a nice weekly bet. But look, that's a big move. Amazon going to 3,000. Yeah, well, that's everybody's piling in looking for that, obviously. Which ones you sell, Joe? Oh, Google. There you go. They went for 3 times. Oh, you sold it for 67%. They went for 3 times. What are you going to do? But what'd you get? 67% the same day, right? You probably didn't even hold it that long. So with a lot less risk. Yeah, Chewy was down today. I don't know why. It really didn't even go up at all today, but I'm looking at trade. I'm not looking to swing trade Chewy up here, but I'm looking at day trading it every time it catches heat. It's good for a day trade. Again, these are repeat names, guys, right? So Chewy, you remember, had action here, had this big run. You had a consolidation here, a little breather. You could have bought it off that. You had another one here that Plenty of us played it. You have another rip into a niner. So now here, this is not initial activity. If you want to continue to play it, you could look for action into weakness. But it's just, it's not as juicy as it was at lower levels. It's had a nice move. Another name like Peloton, right? I mean, I love the stock. Don't get me wrong. It's been great to us. But up here now, what do you want me to tell you? I don't care how much action it catches now up here at $55. Like, what? We were just playing this thing in the 20s. We were just playing. If you liked it that much, you should have rolled it. What the hell? You're going to buy it at higher levels now than where you sold? A week later? They're chasing, Dan. They're chasing see, what happens is you have a rush into money markets like not like we've never seen, but in a big way. Okay? So you have the crash, right? You have this crash. Everybody gets into cash by the time this thing bottoms out. Everybody. So now you got this big mountain of cash here. Okay? Market starts moving higher. I'm not falling for it. Retest of the lows coming and then some. This coronavirus is no joke. All right? Goes higher, pulls back, don't believe, goes higher, don't believe, don't believe, don't believe. So now what happens is they finally get a little breather in the markets and they think, all right, now I got to put some money to work. But they're so scared shitless to put it in to the stuff that hasn't really moved too much because it's economically sensitive. So they're going into the names that will do well if the virus hangs around. So what's that mean? That means I got to chase Peloton, right? That means I got to chase Doku. So you got because the Fed, you got an influx of liquidity out there forcing people to put money to work, but they're so scared shitless to put it in to 3/4 of the market. That's what's going on. So that's what I'm saying. It's not even a FOMO trade. They're putting money into these names almost like they would put it into treasuries. Think about that for a second. Or gold. They're not rushing into Doku because they feel good about the economy and tech and all that as a whole. They're running into these things as a safety net. If they were bullish, you would see commodity names, economically sensitive names, you would see a reflation trade. You're not seeing that. You're seeing stuff that can hang in there if the virus lingers. Well, you see, it's easy looking back now, right? But when the market bottomed, right, and Sharpies were stepping in and everything was at bearish extreme, that's the spot where these things should have been looked at aggressively. And a lot of us played them, but we've been out of them and they keep going higher. You know what I mean? It's not like we didn't play these things. It's not like I didn't buy SE. I bought it, I sold it, and it's quadrupled. That's the problem. It's not like we never heard of Doku. You guys remember Doku, right? Doku was catching action into the teeth of the sell-off. We were looking at this Doku. The stock barely would come in right here. Look. This was the Doku pull, and there was action right into the pull. A good chunk of you own Doku. I never owned the calls, though. I owned the equity. Now, did I think it was going to do this? I would have held it if I did. Like, you want to know where I sold this Doku was probably here. Probably right here. That's where I sold Doku. Yeah, work, again, not initial activity, but a better spot than a lot of the others. You know, work, seeing some more buying. Yeah. So again, these are things to play, but like for me, I swing trade selectively. You guys know that. You know what I mean? I look for stuff with time that I can buy, I can add to, and I want to own off the top shelf sweeper activity out there. Initial activity. That's what I like to swing. You know? This was another name I played today that really didn't go anywhere, by the way. So this stuff, like I'll day trade. I'll day trade a work when it catches action. You know, it's been good to me, day trading. Today, it didn't do anything. But, you know, as these rallies get longer in the tooth, even on pullbacks, they get less and less, they get harder. They don't get easier. You know, they get harder. What ticker was that? Z. That's another name that caught some decent action, by the way. I don't know if you're talking about Zillow, but here's another thing, right? Like I could have sworn they would be tattooing the home builders. Why aren't they tattooing the home builders? You know what I mean? Look at this. This is a nice looking thing compared to some of the others out there. Look at this. The housing numbers have been incredible. They're so scared to even touch these housing plays. Can you believe this? Yeah, all of them look great. You know, this is exactly, when we were looking for that breather recently, this is what we wanted the breather for, you know? This is what we wanted the breather for. But they're not buying these things right now. They're not buying these things. Like all these names look the same to me. You got home builders, but home builders have solid fundamentals behind them. Like look at Caterpillar. People don't even talk about Caterpillar anymore. Like it doesn't even exist. You know, it's not in bad shape. It's constructive price action, but just there's no interest. There's no interest there right now. That can change in a snap of a finger, but right now there's no interest. All the missiles we're seeing come into those hot tech names, all the aggressive action, right? Even the underbelly, like a net, like a box, you know, the Sonos, even the small stocks are all, some of the small stocks have been the best plays out there because some of them aren't as extended. You know, anybody put away some of this plug? I was talking to a couple of you who were looking at it or had it. I don't know if you're still in it. You day traded it? Yeah, this plug, they've been buying, we spoke about it all year, basically. All year. Kind of like the INO. They've been buying for a while now. You know? The other one they're buying, not as much, it's been like cheaper action, but is this fuel cell. I can't believe they're buying this though. This is a piece of garbage, no? WKHS, that had a killer move, another little guy. Look at that. You know, so that's like, Ryan, that's what I'm hoping we still see a little bit of if they don't rotate some of these smaller names, you know, that maybe we can make some money with. But otherwise, you got a lot of names out there set up for rotation that can really, you haven't seen melt up. You haven't seen melt up if they rotate aggressively into this stuff. I tell you, you talk about SPX 4,500. You think I'm nuts? If they need to make a bet on reflation and they got to buy all this stuff, We haven't seen anything like it. Yeah, we'll see, right? This Corona thing is showing up again. I mean, people aren't dropping dead, but this was an interesting chart I posted on my regular Twitter. Do you guys see it? I post it from Bova every morning. I like this chart better, though, the one I posted. Look. And this is what everybody's watching. So this is the death, daily new deaths, right? And this is the new cases. You can see this thing's taking off. We're testing more, too. Ask Trump. Right, 2-week leg. And so this is interesting here. Because it lags. Does it curl in a major way? That's what a lot of people have their eyes peeled to. Bull flag. I know a lot of people have been putting technicals on this. Exactly, Fred. I have no idea. You know what I mean? I have no idea. I'm no doctor or scientist, but I know there's a lot of eyeballs, looking at this yellow line, and that's supposedly why things have been holding together and dip buyers are still out there. But, this aside, right? We saw New York going up in flames, and somehow, some way, markets bottomed and rallied. If I'm talking about just buying and selling now, I'm not talking about any fundamentals. Like, I don't care about the reason. I'm saying if they need to rotate into reflation exposure. That simple. You're going to see a move on the S&P that we have. A melt up like we haven't seen. Yeah, you're going to get, and that's what kind of like Bova was saying, maybe the end game out of this. You're going to see interest rates start to push higher. You're going to see commodity, right? Inflation. Inflation. Let's get reflation first. So things, reflate from deflation, things come back a bit. But yeah, the commodity plays, the Freeport of the world, FCX. But you're going to see a big piece of the market that's not doing anything right now be involved. Like the names I just showed you. Banks will likely be involved. Transportation names the railroads names, those things will probably rip these things. Look, they'll probably rip. Like reflation wise, these things are the place to go. The rails. And look how good they look, right? Where are your technicals out there? I saw Nick, this UNP doesn't look good, honestly. For something that is being ignored right now, like it's in crash mode. Looks decent, right? What about CSX? Same thing, look. UNP, CSX, there's a trio there. NSC. Those are the three top names. Then if you want to go under that, you go KSU and CP. That's the other one I couldn't think of. CP. I remember KSU, I made a play on the rails. I did well with the UNP and NSC, so it didn't bother me as much. But I played this KSU, and the stock lagged because it had ties to Mexico. I wanted to kill somebody. But my two favorite, all the names you guys mentioned, all the names you guys just mentioned, the whole bunch, all of these, right? So these are the rails. And when you get reflation, all these things go gangbuster. They go gangbuster. A bear drop, my bearish case would be you get hedge funds all in, you get a lack of participation in these things, and they just keep plowing into these names that are scorched. And then I think that ends bad. I really do. I think that ends really ugly because you're going to have everybody in that group of names, oh my God, coming out of that could definitely leave a mark. Yeah, that could definitely leave a mark. But that would be my bearish case. Like, that's what I'm rooting against is, you get this non-believer money just come plowing into the market, but all into the stuff that they're going into right now. Yeah, all the names, software, Microsoft, Amazon, all the same names. And then, because think about it, when there's that time they need to get out, think about what that looks like. Like, all that money plowed in at higher levels need to get out. That's not going to be pretty. That's not going to be pretty. So, but as of now, we take one step at a time. The way things are right now, as we sit here right now, any weakness would be an opportunity. Like, we want weakness, even if the software names, even if the names that are hot, if they get hit, there could be an entry there, there could be an entry there. Even if they come into those again, at least you got them off dips. Now they're scorched. SPY what? SPY 156 puts? Who you been talking to, David? You got Armageddon on your mind? Armageddon. Yeah, UPS, a little bit of action today, a little bit of action. FedEx has earnings, don't they? Let me see. Hold on. You got a little bit of time. June 30th. This doesn't look too bad. FedEx, UPS, you just mentioned. A lot of these things look decent. That's why I still have hope. A lot of these things look decent. Another name caught a little bit of action today, CVS, off a little breather. It's a choppy name, but I like this name. The pension fund rebalance, like I said, it's hit or miss. We've seen it a lot more times play out on the long equity side when they got to rotate into equities, because usually you're in the midst of a correction and there's no buyer there, and they're usually the buyer that comes in. Here, there's going to be some legitimate selling, but you might have buyers who eat that up. So that's where it might not have as big an effect, You got to just, I don't think you can trade for it. We've seen it happen in real time where you can catch a day trade out of it type thing. Like we were just talking about it. On the long side, they used to come in 5 minutes before the bell and the market would be dead, and all of a sudden you get a 20 handle rip. Yeah. Used to get in the last 5 minutes. So but there's big numbers, there's big numbers. So I just figured I wanted to share with you guys because it's been going around. A lot of people talking about it. Because again, it's not light. It's a decent number out there. I had a Goldman note on it. I posted. I'll repost it for you guys. I should get an update anyhow tonight or tomorrow. CRM. Yeah, I wouldn't let that bother me. They're September calls. But CRM. It's been a little dead here. Like CRM, I would have liked it better here instead of up here. But this is nothing, This is just, look, this is normal trading. Normal trading. If they melt up tech, I'm sure CRM is going for the ride. I'm sure it's going for the ride. It's been lagging a bit. Still looks great. Look at it. Didn't they miss their last quarter too? I think they missed their last quarter. It's right back at new highs again. Yeah, CRM is known to do that. CRM is known to do that. It'll wear you out. Visa was a roll today. Size roll. I got excited for a second off that December sweep, and then they closed September's for even a bigger amount of money. But that was a roll. But yeah, Visa doesn't look too bad. You know, it's not that stretched compared to some of the others. These two could get hot, right? If you get a reflation trade going on, I'm sure these things will heat up. These things are animals. Visa, MasterCard, they're animals. I mean, look where they came back here already with an economy in lockdown. PayPal. Yep, that's all I could say. What about Square too? Look at this. This is complete melt up. Melt up. Like, if this is not the definition of melt up, I don't know what is. Right? I mean, look at this. Pink? Couldn't give a rat's ass about pink. Right through it. You know, just melt up. Nothing else you could say about it. ISRG. Yeah, ISRG doesn't really catch sweeper activity. Once in a blue moon, and then it's worth a look when it gets it. You know what looked good? That name I sold that I had September's. ILMN. Had a little dip and right back again. Another monster caught action yesterday, ABBV. You know, it's just the spots on these things, guys. There's action all over the place. You know, is this the ideal spot for ABBV? Not for me. But, you know, maybe you see breakout or something else. I don't know. NVTA had news, right? Caught a little bit of action prior to that, and then I think caught some leaps. FFIV. What is that? Is that, I know that name, FFIV. Five? F5? Yeah, I know it. I haven't seen action in this. This used to catch a lot of action, Trey, if you could believe that. This used to catch action. I remember a monster sweep in this thing. It was red hot at the time. You're talking about back here. Been a little out of favor. But yeah, all right, that looks decent. Nice rip off the lows and perfect breather. Perfect. AZN, a lot of news around it. A couple people in the room caught a nice trade on it. Nick, Frank, day trade today, AZN. Or some COVID news. You got a lot of these biotechs look good. How about Abbott still consolidating, right? I saw a little, yeah, look at this. What are they waiting for here, right? Look at this. They don't want these things yet. You understand? There's no interest in these things yet. They're too slow. They can't make up their money there. They don't want these things yet. When they want to make a bet on a quality name like an Abbott or a CNC, they'll come in and hit them hard. Right now, they're just scrambling for exposure and COVID proof. Look at this. That looks good. That looks good. Yeah, they're boring. Exactly. They're boring. What about the, this name I came close to pulling the trigger on if they played it with a little more time. EHTH. I like the spot and the sweep. The sweep I wanted more time on, though. Nice spot there. And this is a big mover. eHealth. Looks good, though. It doesn't catch a lot of action. I would say keep an eye on tack on buying, but it doesn't catch a lot of action. AMRN, yeah, there was some color on it. What was it? Some diagonal spread or something? I think it was part of a spread, Ivan. I don't know off the top of my head. I had a write-up on it. AMRN. I could probably dig it up. Is Muddy Waters EHTH? I don't even know. All these short outfits, they're all over Citron, right? What GSX they were bashing. Look at this. Citron was bashing this thing every day. They got plastered. So they're all over the place. Muddy Waters, Citron, all those outfits. You know, we had the Chinese stocks that have run now. Look at Baba. Tree, who owned Baba? Was it you or Ani? I think Ani owned Baba. Somebody owned Baba. Yeah, a few of you, right? Oh, before earnings? You know, these Chinese names have been enormous. Oh, Maria too. Well, we'll see, guys. We'll see. We want rotation. All right. Somebody brought up a good point. Maybe, you know, after earnings, they do it. I told you, if the NASDAQ looked like the S&P, I'd be fine right now. Everything would be beautiful. Everything would be going exactly as planned. Nothing, there wouldn't be a complaint in the world out of my mouth. You know, there wouldn't be a complaint. But now we got to deal with this. And this, you know, what's it do? It creates more heat on the short-term sentiment side. You know, that's the problem. We wanted this stuff to get washed away, right? That was the whole point of the consolidation. We get all this stuff here to get back over here. Boop, boop, boop. But because you have this NASDAQ heat, yeah, look where they all went again, right back. Like the pull never happened. So it's a little annoying, but you're right. It's weird times, right? We shouldn't expect anything different, Tree. The whole world is upside down right now. The whole world is upside down. Win. That's another reflation play, Leo. If they rotate, that win will rocket. Good, Tree. You got the right idea. The win, LVS, I think all these things, Leo, if you do get that rotation we're talking about, wow, LVS Niner. Damn. LVS Niner too. Oop, what the fuck is that? That was supposed to be a circle. Anyway, I love the spots, Leo. You see some flow there, worth a look, without a doubt. Yep, there was a Niner on trip too, where we were talking about that. What was the other thing? The hotels. Yeah, look, I like that. How about Hilton too? Yep. Yep. You know, but I want to see flow, obviously, because if we don't see flow, you know, what I'm worried about is, you know, retest. That's what I'm worried about in these things. It wouldn't take much, you know, take a week or two of selling, and these things will be retesting. So that's, you know, that's why I want to see some legitimate buying come into them. So I know these things, all right. Somebody who knows a lot more than I is placing some big bets. What was that doing? Let me see. QSR, that's an Ackman play. That looks good. You know, McDonald's, I own that off that action. That looks good. There's a lot of good looking stuff out there, guys. For as hot as some stuff is, there's a whole world out there good looking. We just got to be patient. Listen, put your trader cap on for now. Look to play off the momentum. Just don't get buried in it. Don't overstay your welcome. Don't be afraid to take stop losses. You know, I don't want to sound corny, but like we were talking about, it's not like you missed this rally. The majority of you have participated. All right, so now you're looking to grind it out. You're willing to take a couple losers, small losers, maybe catch a couple winners, you know, make some money in the interim. stop yourself out, don't ride things down, that sort of thing. And, wait for that better setup to play itself out. Yeah, exactly. That's the thing, Tree, because right now I don't have the confidence as I did, earlier in this rally. In the stuff that looks good, if it caught action, I'd have confidence in it, but it's not. So, the hot stuff, I wouldn't be able to sleep at night. Swing pit. Can you imagine, Tree, can you imagine, I don't know about you, but if I had 7 positions deep, like I did not too long ago, and I was starting new positions up here on some of these hot tech names, they could go to 0 in a week, right? And that could be just the start of a reversal. You could get wiped out. So that's, I'm not looking to do that here. Yeah. Down here where I felt the downside was limited and, I was looking to put a basket together is a different story. Here, I can't play names that look like skyscrapers and swing a basket of names. You're asking for trouble. So that's why we say we'll be a little more selective and let it come to us. Let them impress us. In the meantime, we look to day trade off some momentum, and knock on wood, there's been a lot of juice out there. So hasn't been bad. All right, guys, thanks for stopping by. As always, you know where to find me if you have any questions. All right, anybody new, wallstreetjesus.com if you're looking for more information. I appreciate it, guys. Have a good night. Stay safe.